Kratos. A fear that wrought the Great War, a fear that drove Zeus to kill you. His own son.
His son?
I think the reason Athena steps in front of Kratos and prevents him from killing Zeus at that moment is because of all the gods, she is the one that has always been, in the God of War universe, the self-sacrificing one, the one that is always trying to do the right thing. She has always been about everyone else, and in this moment, she steps in front of Kratos' blade to protect Zeus, but in some respects, to protect him from killing his father, which no son should ever have to do.
Patricide, the killing of one's own father to usurp his power, is a very commonplace theme in Greek mythology. We see it with just about every single pantheon of deities and gods.
Kronos, for instance, castrates his father Uranos. Uranos is divine and can't be killed, but since his only function is sexual, to beget creatures, then castrating him is symbolically killing him. Kronos himself is displaced by Zeus and consigned to Tartarus, where he is powerless. Again, he's divine and can't be killed, but since his only function in Greek myth is to exercise power irresponsibly like a brute, removing his power from him, in effect, neuters him.
And now in God of War, we see Kratos about to usurp Zeus of his power and his seat on Olympus.
The reason why you have to kill your father is because you need to overthrow him so you can get power. Especially if your father is a god, because he's not going to age and he's not going to die. So it would be inaccurate, actually, to call it patricide in the case of the gods, but it's the same motif, right? The idea is that you're following this popular motif in Greek culture. You can't really kill gods, but you can essentially do away with them, equivalents to patricide.
It embodies an historical and psychological truth. After all, every generation must move out of the way and, in effect, die to make room for the younger generation to assume its rightful place. And this is what happens at each juncture of the development of Greek cultural history. An old order dies and is replaced by a new order, often by violence. Change often happens by force.
With the escape of Zeus, the vengeful Spartan uses his newfound powers and travels back to the time of the Great War between the Titans and the Olympians.
Gaia!
And along his side are a few new mighty allies.
All on Olympus tremble at my name. Zeus is weak. Ares and Athena are dead, and I wield the blade. We can win the Great War, but not in this time. Together, we will destroy the petty gods, and we will see Olympus crumble before us. Come with me, Gaia. Return to my time. Victory awaits.
If the Titans had won the war, it probably would be a more chaotic world. One of the things that Zeus does when he wins the war against the Titans is he sets out a kind of political system, and he tries to order as fairly as he can. He gives people political offices.
Brothers, put aside the petty grievances that have splintered us for so long. We will unite, we will stand together, and I will wipe out this plague. Olympus will prevail.
The Titans represent an earlier stage in Greek civilization. They're always portrayed as more savage.
They're unorganized, reactive, thoughtless people. They're brutes. It would be difficult to imagine how human beings could figure out a way of dealing with the Titans and their unpredictable rages. I'd think we would tend to be just cowering in fear of their cosmic rampages and frantically offering sacrifices of anything we could, hoping that something would work. Our survival would probably depend on aggression and luck.
Zeus! Your son has returned! I bring the destruction of Olympus!
I think the benefit of creating a brand new character like Kratos, instead of using something that exists in Greek mythology like a Perseus or a Hercules, is that it's kind of a clean slate. You can establish who this character is and what you want his story to be without getting people either riled up or people kind of like, well, I don't like that because I like this.
I have lived in the shadow of the gods for long enough. The time of the gods has come to an end!
And we can easily draw things that you find in other Greek heroes, like Hercules, Perseus. Hercules slayed the Cerberus. That's what Kratos does. Perseus killed the Medusa. That's what Kratos does as well. A lot of parallels with Hercules in terms of the fact that Hercules was destined to try to kill his father. Those types of things we can inject into a fresh character along with anything else that we want to inject into that.
The biggest risks with doing that, however, is you better create with something that people resonate to, because if you miss the mark, there's nothing for them to grab onto. So I think the risk-reward in this case paid off. I think having the character kind of made from scratch gave us a much cleaner slate, gave us the ability to create the story we wanted to create and to tell the story we wanted to tell.
Ultimately, Greek mythology is a package of stories dedicated to making sense of the human condition. What I mean, really a lot of Greek mythology is the hero's journey, and how we interpret what that means, we can interpret it in many ways. The hero's journey can be almost in psychological terms as a search for the self. It can be a search for one's place in society. It can be coming to terms with an unjust world and finding your place. It can be just coming to terms with death.
It explained and delved into the human condition. It helped people understand how they lived and why they lived, why they loved and showed compassion, why they went to war, why they fought for what they believe in. And it's been able to endure for so long through the centuries because people have been able to take these stories, which were very elastic and very malleable, and shape them and shift them into ways that could be received by modern audiences.
And so the reason the stories evolve, we get many different versions of Greek mythology, is because, but the stories evolve as the questions change and as the answers change through time and through different societies.
Mythology is always evolving because the circumstances of human life are always changing. And humans need new narratives to make sense of new circumstances, so they create new mythology.
With the mighty Titans as his allies, Kratos sets forth on a new epic war whose scale is yet to be seen in history. And so, the end has begun.
God of War 3 is different than the first two in the respect that we're doing everything we can to get a lot closer to Kratos. We're getting a lot more into his head, a lot more into what he's thinking moment to moment, and what's really going on, and really trying to resolve a lot of the unanswered or unresolved issues that the first two products have created for him.
God of War 3 is the final moment for Kratos. It's going to be the time when he stares up at Olympus and he looks at the gods and they basically start to shake. He is going to meet all of them. He's going to meet them with extreme prejudice. He sees Olympus as the symbol of all of his problems, and he's just going to go up there and outright destroy it. And in doing so, he's going to have to search inside of himself for what is the ultimate weapon inside